Foremost, they'll have 20 minutes on the clock. They can run one lap or they can run as many as they want in 20 minutes. And then the Group 2 cars will then have 20 minutes. They will then go out, not single time as they want, run as many laps as you can in the 20 minutes. However, there is a combined, much like practice, your best lap will be combined with Group 1 and Group 2, and that's how we'll determine the starting lineup for the Go Bowling at the Glen.
Well, one of the things that, as we talk about this and where it goes forward, Kurt, you asked me earlier, is there a difference between the two? Didn't think there was a substantial difference, but we see it. The fastest car out of Group 2 was 9th fastest overall because there was a little more rubber laid down the racetrack. Well, this first group, they have a fully rubbered racetrack. Now, I'm not going to say it's hugely rubbered, but it may impact 2 or 3 tenths of a second, especially early. So I would look for guys to go out, maybe run a lap here, let everything cool down, the tires cool down. The fast laps of this session I would expect to happen at the last minute of this session because the racetrack's had as much rubber as it can picked up by cars running around it.
Kyle Larson, Ty Gibbs, several other drivers beginning to work their way down the pit lane toward the exit of pit road to take to the racetrack as qualifying is about to get underway. What about the rumble strips around this racetrack, Todd? There's rumble strips at various portions of the course, like a high curb to drivers left and to drivers right. We've already seen it. For example, in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series yesterday evening, sometimes those trucks would get off the course, ramp up over those curbs, then ramp over them again and come back onto the course. How much can that shake and unsettle the setup on a car?
Yeah, in Watkins Glen, when we came to the Gen 7 car, they calmed down the curbs here so that you couldn't. Because we have a carbon floor and diffuser underneath the cars, they had to get the curbs down lower. And it changed really how you can race around this racetrack. The curb exiting turn 1, you can cross over that much easier than we used to. It used to be almost a jump. You think about Sonoma, turn 4 there. It was a jump, and that had to come down. But we've got the curb there. The curb exiting the carousel is one that you can cross over pretty easily. And the curbs in and out of the inner loop, that used to be almost a jump. You'd be airborne. We'd look at videos to see what happened through there. They've calmed those down. Now it's almost like a street course. How close can you get to the Armco barrier there and straighten that corner out? Those pieces there, the asphalt runoff places around those places, they've gone back and kind of ground in the rumble strips that they have on regular street places to take some grip away, but the drivers seem to drive right over those.
The first of the handful of drivers that have pulled onto the racetrack have passed the alternate start-finish line, which is on the short straightaway, headed to turn number 6. It's between turns 5 and 6, and they're beginning their first hot lap in pole qualifying. Practice and pole qualifying from Watkins Glen International is brought to you on MRN by E3 Spark Plugs. Stuck in slow motion? Unleash the NASCAR fire inside your engine with E3 Spark Plugs. Forget pit stops, too. E3 gives you maximum fuel efficiency for more miles on the road and less time at the pump. E3 Spark Plugs. Power, speed, domination. Get yours today.
Todd was just talking a moment ago about the inner loop and about the carousel. The carousel, also known as turn number 5, out on the east end of the course, the backside of the course. That's where Kyle Larson has just been. He's now left the carousel. He's currently making the left-hander through turn number 6. He posts a lap. His time, 73.4 seconds. That computes to a speed of just slightly over 120 miles an hour. Ty Gibbs is a tick quicker. His time, a minute 12.92 seconds, 120.954 miles per hour.
Todd Gilliland rockets to second fastest. Zane Smith goes to third. Larson kicked back to fourth. Catherine Legg is the 5th driver that's clicked off an official lap. She is now currently in the 5th spot as more and more drivers begin to get their first official lap. Keep in mind, Kurt, on practice, the fastest laps didn't come, in some cases, till the 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th consecutive lap.
So you're saying don't etch anything into stone just yet?
Not quite. As a reference point, the pole winner a year ago was Ross Chastain. His fastest lap that won pole position was 72.130 seconds at 122.279 miles per hour. To put that into some context, well, we're not quite there as of yet. We're about 0.8 of a second slower than what last year's pole was.
Zane Smith is on the racetrack. In fact, he moves up to 3rd fastest here very early on in our first group for qualifying. You've got Cody Ware on the track, Catherine Legg, Josh Balicki. Also, J.J. Yaley is on the racetrack. Connor Zilich and Ty Dillon getting ready to go as well.
Ty Gibbs goes to the top of the leaderboard. Second lap, even faster, 0.6 of a second faster. on lap number 2 for Ty Gibbs, as Connor Zilic is on the race course making his way around Watkins Glen International. Gibbs is the fastest. Todd Gilliland currently second quick. Zane Smith third. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. now goes to fourth, and Cole Custer rounds out the top 5, at least to this point, with still 15 minutes to go.
Ty Gibbs comes off the racetrack and backs his car back into the stall on the pit lane, as others now getting ready to get underway. Shane Van Gisbergen, we just saw him roll out down pit road. Also Daniel Suarez beginning to make his way down toward the pit exit.
This is an interesting dynamic with this format of qualifying, and the fact that if you're going out on the track right now, there's no need to come blasting off pit road and get fully up to speed, because you got a long ways to go before you actually begin your lap at the alternate start finish line. But there are drivers on the track trying to run their hot laps up through the S's.
Yeah, and you definitely want to be aware of that, and you've got your spotter talking you through that. But when you look at it, with the alternate start finish line, we don't have to get all the way around to get to that start finish line. That start finish line is on the straightaway between the carousel turn 5 that I talked about earlier, and turn 6. That's where it starts. So you've got to think about getting your tires to the temperature. William Byron talked about getting his tires to the right temperature. You've got to have them at temperature to get into that carousel turn. Long sweeping right-hander, kind of downhill, but you want to carry a lot of speed off that because you're coming to the start-finish line. And that's so really up through the S's, you probably take a little bit easy, but the last of the S's, you're really trying to work some into it. And then through the inner loop, you're really trying to make sure your tires are where they need to be to start that carousel. So there's not a lot of off time like there used to be, because we have an alternate start-finish line. It's probably a mile back the course.
And Alex, to your point about the S's, that is an uphill climb. It's narrow. There are blind spots. It's turns 2, 3, and 4. You've got pit road, the exit. You come out right at the exit of pit road, right where the cars are going downhill, coming out of turn number 1 on the racetrack. All of a sudden, everybody's trying to blend into line and go back uphill through the S's to make all that happen without an incident.
Yeah, and you've got to carry momentum at the top of that hill, at the top of the S's. There's over 100 feet of elevation change from all the way down at the bottom of turns 1 and 2 up to the top of the S's, because the S's spill out onto the back straightaway where you have to maximize your horsepower. Fastest car in practice today was Justin Haley. Michael McDowell was second quick in practice, and Kurt, they've just gotten their first laps in.
And so far, Michael McDowell checking in second quickest overall. His fast time, 1:12.3 seconds, 121.9 miles per hour. And then Justin Haley, just a tick behind him, checking in third fastest overall, but a long way to go. Let's check in with Steve Post.
A little bit of a miscommunication on the Connor Zilic team down here. The radio communication and the fast laps thus far, many of them have come on lap number 2 of the qualifying run. Connor Zilic went out and completed his first lap, but in the process of that, the spotter radioed to Darian Grubb, but he did it on channel 2 that the second lap is fast. Never got radioed to Connor Zilic, so he kind of surprised everybody when he came down pit road. Darren Grubb, the veteran, realized that communication was not on the channel that Connor Zilic did. Apologized to Connor, said, we're going to need to cool this down and go back out and run a few more laps. He's still 5th fastest, I believe, or at least he was when he ran his time, but they felt like the second lap was going to be quicker, and they just had that miscommunication on the wrong channel, and Connor brought the car down to the attention of the crew.
Second consecutive lap of qualifying is done for Michael McDowell. Kurt, where did he end up?
He has gone to the top of the leaderboard. His lap, 72.18 seconds. He's the first driver to top 122 miles per hour thus far, 122.195.
So Michael McDowell is currently the fastest. Ty Gibbs is second quick, and Kyle Busch has just gone to third now. Good lap for Kyle Busch. Fastest in practice was Justin Haley. He is 4th quick at the moment. Todd Gilliland rounds out the top 5. You've got Connor Zilic currently 6th. Riley Herbst 7th. Zane Smith is 8th. Noah Gregson 9th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was 10th. He's been kicked back because Shane Van Gisbergen has just gotten his lap in. He'll go to 5th fastest for Shane Van Gisbergen.
Still 11 minutes to go here for Group 1 qualifying. From Watkins Glen International, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Every time the siren sounds or lights flash, someone's life is on the line. At Whelen Engineering, we know first responders carry that weight every day. That's why for over 70 years, we've led the emergency warning industry, designing and manufacturing the lights, sirens, and safety systems they trust right here in America. because when the mission is critical, there's no room for second best. Whelen Engineering, trusted to protect first responders.
Hello?
Hey, it's your man Tank. Watching you hold back tears swallowing that celery stick. It's a hard sight to see, Tim.
I'm almost done. Just let me get this down.
Stop it, man. Seriously. We don't have to do this to us.
You're right. I hate veggies so much. How can I be more like you?
Hey, buddy, I am you. Just full of meat. Jack Link's Beef Jerky, official meat snack of NASCAR. Feed your wild side.
Back with you at Watkins Glen, Group 1 qualifying on the racetrack. First driver to crack the 72-second barrier around this racetrack. Not surprisingly, he has gone to the top of the leaderboard, and he is
Shane Van Gisbergen. But he's also the first driver to go 3 consecutive laps in qualifying. Now, Catherine Legg and Josh Balicki have run 4 laps in qualifying. They're back 17th and 18th. But Shane Van Gisbergen, I guess, Kurt, when you feel like as well as he is on road courses, if he feels like he didn't get all he could get out of it and says on the radio, I'm going to keep going, you just let him go.
Yeah, you do, and that's exactly what happens. He ends up quickest overall to this point. Ty Gibbs has been fast. He went out, busted off a quick lap, and then quickly came back down the pit road and parked his car in the pit stall. Let's follow up on Ty Gibbs. 3rd fastest overall right now. Check in with Chris Wilner.
The plan originally for Ty Gibbs was to go out, run those 2 laps. He quickly went to the top of the board, and he was well clear by about a second. They brought him down pit road, and then Tyler Allen said that they were going to wait and see if they need to go back out. Well, certainly in the last 5 minutes, we saw what SVG just did. And actually, just looking at the body language of this entire Joe Gibbs racing crew, they almost just laughed. Like they just knew this was coming from SVG. We're not surprised to see him throw up a monster lap like he just did. So now the plan is to get this car as cooled as quickly as possible, and they're going to send Ty Gibbs out with just about just under 6 minutes to go. Let him get 2, possibly 3 if he needs it. But Ty Gibbs thought it was good. Well, and then SVG went out and one-upped him, so he's going to have to go back out and give it another go to try to topple SVG here in qualifying.
8 minutes to go here in the Group 1 cars right now. And after the radio snafu that Steve Post explained earlier for Connor Zilich, who only got 1 lap in earlier, which not a bad lap for Connor Zilich. He was 8th best. He has pulled back out on the Watkins Glen race course, and he's going to try to up that.
We had heard earlier during the practice session, Steve told us that Connor Zilich had been loose. The car had had trouble getting off the corners. Then we heard about the radio miscommunication here in qualifying. But Connor Zilich, nonetheless, after all that, 8th quickest overall, he is back out on the racetrack as Alex described. Michael McDowell, let's check and see what the story is with him. He's 2nd quickest. Let's go to Steve Post.
Similar to what Chris reported with Ty Gibbs, they're cooling this car down, and they're watching the laps and listening to the radio traffic with Travis Peterson and Michael McDowell as Shane Van Gisbergen was on the lap. It was an emotional change, as Travis Peterson said. He just did a perfect bus stop, talking about Shane Van Gisbergen as they compared the laps overall. The inner loop, or the bus stop as it's known down here, that was where Shane Van Gisbergen was quicker, and Travis reported that Shane was also better down into turn number 1. So they're going to cool this car down and see if they can go out and maybe one-up Shane Van Gisbergen here as they get set to go. Let's go further up pit road. Chris Wilner?
Yeah, here with Chase Briscoe, who's watching Ty Gibbs getting ready to go back out. So what do you learn watching Ty in this session, and what did you learn about your race car before you go qualifying?
Yeah, just trying to see, kind of just how much harder you can drive it in qualifying. It looks like we're, 7, 8 tenths faster than what we had in practice. So, yeah, just trying to see, where all that 7 and 8 tenths comes from. Is it all in one area of the racetrack, or is it a little bit everywhere? So, just trying to see, what you can learn from the data. But yeah, I thought our Bass Pro Shops Toyota was pretty good in practice. You never really know until we all finally, go out there for qualifying in the race. But it drove okay. Could have done some stuff a little bit better, but at least was in the mix, I thought. So, yeah, see what we got here.
Does this Toyota have a 71-second lap in it, you think?
Yeah, I think if I do my job, that's what it all comes down to on these road courses. Is your car is obviously a huge component, but from the driver's seat, you gotta nail it on your end. You can't mess up one of these corners, or it really adds up. And Shane's just so good at never really messing up, so it makes you where you have to push hard to try to keep up with him, and that's where a lot of guys obviously are making mistakes. So hopefully I'll do my job and we'll see if it's enough. It's not been enough at any other road course, but maybe today will be the day.
All right, Chase Briscoe getting ready to go out and qualify. He's been the pole man this year. Most poles out on this season out of anybody. He'll try to add another one here today.
Trying to win, if he does, his third consecutive Cup Series pole. If he's successful in that, be the first driver since 1980 when Cale Yarborough won 3 consecutive pole positions in the Cup Series. It's got a tall task as we've got a couple of more cars, Kurt, on the track with just 5 minutes to go in Group 1.
One of those is the car of Chris Buescher, who won this race 1 year ago. Talked about the fact a year ago did not have a great qualifying effort. He started outside the top 20 last year. He is 7th quickest overall. Again, this is just now Group 1 on the racetrack, but he did take a lap. 7th fastest, checks in at 121.528 miles per hour. And in fact, he's going to climb further up the leaderboard on his second lap. His time, 1 minute and 12.265 seconds. That's just over 122 miles an hour. So move Chris Buescher up to 3rd fastest overall.
And he had not taken a qualifying lap in this session until just now when he ran those 2 consecutive laps. Cole Custer is on the track right now. Connor Zilich is back out there. Noah Gregson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Ty Dillon, Kyle Larson is back on the track, as well as J.J. Yaley.
Question for you about what we heard from Chase Briscoe a moment ago. Do you like the attitude that it's always healthy to have a good, strong respect for a competitor like Shane? You got to have the fire to go out there and say, all right, he's the quickest. I think maybe I've got it in me to go out and run a faster lap. Did you like that?
Yeah, I do, and it's part of the conversation and confidence that he has in James Small and that whole 19 team over there at Joe Gibbs Racing. I think it's been invigorating for this relationship to see them get the win that they got earlier this season and all the poles they've had. They've had speed. He's adapted to it, and I think he's got a lot of belief in his guys. It is. Shane Van Gisbergen does a really good job. We've seen that. That's why he has 3 road course wins this year. He's really good at this type of racing. It's what his come up, how he was brought up. So we'll see where that plays out. But yeah, I like the fact that he really feels confident. If he hits his marks, he's got an opportunity to compete with him.
Agree 100%. He's also being very realistic because he's in Group 2 and he sees the speeds right now, and he sees the mark that Shane Van Gisbergen put down, which, by the way, Van Gisbergen's fastest lap is the only lap in Group 1 so far that has eclipsed last year's pole speed. So while he has the confidence because he already has 6 poles this year, he certainly has a very realistic approach as well.
Is it safe to say, sometimes I look out the window and I'll look at the drivers that are waiting to go out, and they seem so relaxed and so casual. Safe to say the wheels are always turning upstairs?
Yes, yeah, they are, especially through these sessions. You've got all sorts of data to digest and what you can work through. It's you're focused on what you can do through the session.
Michael McDowell comes back out on the racetrack, 2.5 minutes to go. So realistically, these drivers can get 1 to 2 more laps in qualifying in Group 1, then these drivers will be done until we get set for the Go Bowling at the Glen tomorrow. We've got Group 2 drivers still to qualify. They'll combine the times and we'll set the starting lineup for the Go Bowling at the Glen. Shane Van Gisbergen is the fastest, and he just sits patiently on the pit lane. They've already put the Trackhouse Racing cover across the Lexan windshield. They have no plans of going back out on the racetrack at this point.
In fact, Steve Post, I thought it was interesting. You commented a moment ago about the observation about Shane Van Gisbergen so smooth through the inner loop, and that is such an important part of the course in order to get back out on the main portion of the racetrack and carry some momentum through the carousel.
And that's what everyone is talking about, the conversation. And we heard as Chris talked to Chase Briscoe, he said Shane is just so good everywhere. And when you look at the bus stop, it's arguably the most technical part of this road course. And from all accounts, looking at everybody watching the telemetry, he may have gotten a perfect bus stop. I know we'll talk to Shane and he'll talk about what he missed down there, but the bottom line of it is he just nailed that bus stop, and that being such a technical part of the course, as well as an acceleration course down through the 90 and down into the next part of the course. That is such a key part of it, and it looks like SVG did his homework, but we'll see. McDowell's gone back out. Justin Haley's gone back out. I think Kyle Larson's going back out. So I think we'll see if anyone else can maybe try to nail that bus stop as well.
And as racers, we learn the most from our failures. And Shane Van Gisbergen missed in the inner loop, and that's where Chris Buescher passed him last year for the win here. He got a little too close to that wall. He hit it, knocked him a little bit loose. I am sure in the offseason he's made sure that area is spot on point for where he needed to come back this year.
nobody that's still on the track in this closing 30 seconds is getting any quicker, because we learned in practice that the Goodyear tires are great, but as designed, the lap times get a little slower the more laps you put on them. So I think Shane Van Gisbergen very safe here on his lap time that he put up, at least for the Group 1 drivers. Still waiting to see what happens with the Group 2.
Again, so far, Shane, the only driver to break the 72-second barrier. His time was 1 minute 11.993 seconds. Didn't beat it by much, but enough to be the quickest to this point. And again, that computes to a speed of 122.5 miles per hour.
As we're down to now the final, red and black flags just go in the air because the clock just hit 0. So qualifying for Group 1 is complete. Those who are already on the track do have the opportunity to finish their laps. One of them is Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez, Riley Herbst. Kyle Busch is out there as well. They have the opportunity to finish their laps, and Kyle Busch looks like he's got a pretty good lap going right now.
Yeah, already P5 on the board, but working on putting a run together here last minute, last opportunity. This is the best the racetrack's going to be. It's been cleaned up. We've had a lot of single car runs on it. See where it gets to. He's in fighting range here. A really good lap for where Kyle's at.
Couple of drivers who did pick up speed from the practice session till now. Kyle Busch, keep in mind, he was 15th fastest in practice. Guys had talked about how he had checked in qualifying at 5th. He got in a lap right at the end of the session, moves him all the way up to 2nd on the leaderboard, just a tick behind Shane Van Gisbergen.
And he talked about this is one of his favorite race courses. It's interesting you brought that up earlier. Elevating to the time, this is a team that needs a win. This might be the opportunity for him.
Qualifying wrapped up for Group 1 cars. Shane Van Gisbergen is the fastest. Kyle Busch, Michael McDowell, Chris Buescher, and Ty Gibbs are the top 5 Group 2 cars set to qualify next. From Watkins Glen International, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR. Back at Watkins Glen International, waiting on Group 2 track to go hot for their qualifying to see where they stack up against the Group 1 cars. Don't forget, coming up later today, 2:30 p.m. Eastern to be exact, just a little less than an hour from right now, the NASCAR Xfinity Series will race here at the Glen in the Mission 200 at the Glen. Tomorrow, it is the NASCAR Cup Series, the main event, the Go Bowling at the Glen. At 1 p.m. Eastern Time, Motor Racing Network will be on with you for NASCAR Live Race Day. Michael McDowell joins us to go one-on-one in NASCAR Live Race Day.
Difficult to believe that tomorrow will make the 42nd series visit for the NASCAR Cup Series to this historic layout at Watkins Glen. So many series and so many world-renowned drivers have raced here across the spectrum over the years, have won here across the spectrum over the years. This is a facility, when our colleague Dan Hubbard, who's not working with us this weekend, but when he has been here to work with us, it's fun to walk around this property, because Dan was someone that when he was growing up in Southern California, he followed all different types of disciplines of motorsports, and he's a West Coast guy who very much loves this Watkins Glen racetrack, and for good reason.
And they also had a match 73 called the Summer Jam at Watkins Glen. At the time, it was the largest concert audience at over 600,000 people here on property to see the Allman Brothers Band, the Grateful Dead, and the band, all of them part of the concert billing here at Watkins Glen. Over 600,000 folks to enjoy that concert. You know, it wasn't all that long ago, maybe 10 or so years ago, some track staff went out and began to do some upgrades and some cleaning of the brush and taking some trees down around certain portions of the course. Keep in mind, we don't use the boot section of the race course. That's where IndyCar used to run, and sports car and IMSA runs there now. But they were out there clearing out some trees and some brush, and they found an automobile in the forest. They dated it back, did some research, and that car was from the early 70s. And they figured out that that car was abandoned here after the concert in 1973 and set on property until about 10 years ago when the maintenance crew found it.
Have you ever abandoned a car after a concert?
No, but I may have lost a shoe along the way.
Well, you were just telling us after the race here yesterday evening, after the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, you saw somebody in concert on the beach in Daytona free of charge.
Yeah, Eddie Money. Got to see Eddie Money on the beach free of charge down there. The late, great Eddie Money. It was a spectacular show. You know, beach concerts are great and are not uncommon, especially when we go to Daytona Beach or even at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Steve Post and I had the opportunity on Ford Championship weekend one year at Homestead, courtesy of our great friends at Coca-Cola, to go watch the Zach Brown Band perform on a big stage on the beach in South Beach. And it was an unforgettable night. We had a great time doing that. And yeah, it's just part of going to a NASCAR race. No matter where you go, there's always something extra that you get to enjoy.
You mentioned the beach, a great venue for a concert, and as you discussed, this Watkins Glen International Road Course, this entire property is a fantastic layout, not just for motorsports, yes, primarily for motorsports, but also for concerts like you mentioned. A lot of folks love to come here race weekend and go camping as well.
It is a party atmosphere. And you know, a lot of these folks that come here, yes, they're rabid NASCAR race fans, and they're here for the race. I have met some fans who buy infield spots to camp who come just for the event. They come here for the week, enjoy the camaraderie. They camp next to some of the same people they've been camping next to for years and years.
Yeah, this is an opportunity to kind of rekindle those friendships, and they're made amongst the campsites, and you come back so that you can have that relationship and have that connection. It's impressive. It's a whole different vibe when you come to a road course like this. Such a camping atmosphere. I've got friends that have been here for decades that keep coming back and forth. One of the cars that had a lot of speed, almost surprising speed, Kyle Busch. Steve Post, you got more.
Yeah, a lot of speed, especially late. Kyle, you pitted early in practice to make adjustments on the car. By the end of the practice qualifying, you go out and post second fastest. Just kind of described how you arrived at such speed by the end of this whole session.
I mean, yeah, we just made a lot of changes to it, just trying to work on it and evolve on it, and, felt like the changes just weren't really the way I liked it, actually. You know, we came back on all that stuff and put the car back how we arrived, and I said, let me just go do it, and that's where we qualified at. So just more laps, more reps, and we just got faster a little bits of here or there on the racetrack make up a little bit, and we're talking 2/10 you're going from, great effort by the whole Zone Chevrolet team, thanks to RCR guys and everybody at ECR, pulling the rope in the same direction this week. Feels good.
Feels good, that's for sure. That is Kyle Busch. Chris Wilner, who have you caught up with?
Yeah, Chris Buescher ended up fourth in that first session. Chris, you've been top three all afternoon in practice, qualified fourth so far. Did you get everything you could out of that Ford Mustang?
Yeah, I was pretty happy with this Build Submarines Ford Mustang, but I felt like I did a good job until the bus stop on that first lap. I was a little sloppy, had a big moment, and had to go run that second lap. So by then, you know what, I think it was a good lap, but I think we had a lot of potential in the first one as well. Kind of just for the heck of it, went and ran a third lap after a cool down to see if I could clean some stuff up, and I think I did in the car, but we were past kind of the goodie of the tires. So we'll see where it shakes out. Last year the second group just went so much faster, so didn't look that way in practice. Hold my breath, it doesn't do it in qualifying right now.
No matter where you end up today, is the feeling of this race car very similar to what you ended up with last year when you took the checkered flag?
Yeah, very, very similar, but with a little bit more fire-off speed. So all the things we were aiming to do coming down here, I think that we're checking boxes right now, but long race tomorrow. It's not going to be easy to repeat, never is, but I'm excited for it.
He's all smiles. Chris Buescher qualified so far in the top 5, although Group 2 is starting to put up some times on the board.
Yeah, they are. Christopher Bell has just gone to 4th quick on his opening lap of qualifying. He's going to continue to dig and try to improve on that on a second consecutive lap. Christopher Bell is 4th overall. Shane Van Gisbergen is the fastest. He did come out of group number 1, but Kurt, right now, Group 2 drivers getting their opening couple of laps in.
They are. Denny Hamlin has been on the racetrack. He was 32nd quick in practice. Not a good practice session as far as that result, but he checks in 8th quickest overall after his opening lap. Others on the racetrack, we've seen A.J. Allmendinger here in group number 2, Alex Bowman, Josh Berry, Eric Jones, William Byron, John Hunter, Nemechek as well.
As they continue to get their laps in, William Byron is one, Todd, that a lot of people, including us, after their practice session today, had our eyebrows raised off of what they were doing over the long run speed. As a crew chief, yes, you want to win pole position. Yes, you want to win the race and have that long run speed, but you got to take solace in the fact that you got a good handling race car in race conditions.
Yeah, but I sure want to win the pole still. I want to win everything. That makes our weekend easier. They do. They've got a lot of long run speed in this car. Put themselves up there. P5 right now on lap 2, coming back down pit road. We'll see whether they can improve on that with a cool down. And we've got a little over 15 minutes left in the session.
Alex mentioned Christopher Bell, currently 6th on the leaderboard. Of course, Christopher drove here yesterday evening in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, substituting for the injured Stuart Friesen. Was leading. He dominated the final stage of the race, but then because of a fuel mileage situation, had to come late to pit road. Still rallied his way back up to finish 4th. But in our pre-race coverage yesterday, Alex, did you pick up on the respect Christopher Bell has for Stuart Friesen? And it was interesting to hear Christopher talk about watching Halmar Friesen rate his championship season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one thing about Christopher Bell and a lot of the drivers down there in the garage area, all the garage areas. They're race car drivers, and yes, they're here to compete and beat each other on the racetrack. But when one of them gets injured, they kind of band together and come together and try to pick up the pieces and try to soldier on. And Christopher Bell, very kind to answer the phone, said, yeah, absolutely, I'll drive this race truck for Stuart Friesen and Halmar Friesen Racing at Watkins Glen. Caden Honeycutt's going to be in the truck the rest of the season for the Truck Series schedule. But to have the healthy respect for not only Stuart Friesen as a driver, but for the plight and what that team's up against, because they are, as a team, in the Owners' Championship fight for the Truck Series as well.
Let's check in with Chris Wilner.
Yeah, some of the nuances of qualifying, and you heard it from Chris Buescher just talking about having to nail every portion of the lap. Well, for Alex Bowman, who currently sits 4th, pretty good, but there's definitely more on the table. He came over the radio as he pulled down pit road and said, I royally messed up the bus stop. I need to do that again. So Blake Harris said, let's cool down the engine and give it one more go. So more than one time now we've heard of drivers thinking that there's definitely more left. But again, you have to be perfect here in qualifying. Alex Bowman believes he wasn't. He's going to try it again. But again, top 5 on a not perfect lap. We'll see what he can do on a perfect lap here later on.
We'll wait and see for Bowman. He's currently 4th. Another Spire car has just rocketed up. Now 2 Spire cars currently in the top 5. Michael McDowell is 3rd, and Carson Hocevar has just gone to the number 5 position. Joey Logano on his opening lap was a pretty doggone good one. Logano is 8th on his first lap of qualifying attempt.
3 fastest drivers from Group 1, Shane Van Gisbergen, Kyle Busch, and Michael McDowell. They so far remain in the top 3 positions on the leaderboard. Chris Buescher, he had shown in 4th, but now drops back into the 9th position. So his run, his time hasn't held quite like the 3 in front of him from Group 1.
Not quite. Not everybody has taken a qualifying lap officially, but all the drivers who have not, there are 7 remaining that have not taken a lap, are on the race course, including Ryan Blaney. Brad Keselowski and Chase Briscoe is on the track right now as well.
Heard from him earlier. Chris Wilner asked him, do you think you can break the 72-second mark like Shane Van Gisbergen did? He said, it's really up to me. He said, as long as I hit my marks, don't make any mistakes, I think I've got the car that's capable of doing that.
The gentleman that won the pole for this race a year ago, Ross Chastain's opening qualifying lap was not good. 32nd for Ross Chastain on his first qualifying lap attempt. Let's see if he's going to continue to dig on. I'm quite certain he will, but not at all, I don't think, Kurt, what they were looking for.
No, and likewise, not a good opening lap for Austin Cindric or for Brad Keselowski. But again, in fairness, just the first lap for these drivers here in group number 2. You have Chastain checking in at 33rd now. Carson Hocevar sneaks up into the top 5. He turns a lap a minute 12.2 seconds, 122.161 miles per hour. And again, for now, puts him in the top 5.
Ryan Blaney's first lap, good enough for 10th. Blaney keeps his foot on the gas as he continues to soldier on lap number 2. See if he can pick anything up here. Todd, what are you watching with Blaney get around this course?
Yeah, the first lap was decent, and he's working his way around. He's kind of, seems like he's adding a little bit of speed as he comes forward. He lost time. Shane Van Gisbergen, and this must be one of those supercar things. He's murdering people through the inner loop. That area there, if I think back to the days when we were there, Marcus Ambrose really worked this area really well, and Shane made so much speed there. Blaney looks like he actually got through there pretty well, put a pretty good lap together. We'll see where it plays out.
Yeah, you think about how well Shane Van Gisbergen got through that quick right, left, right combination, and that indeed is one of the reasons why he is the quickest to this point. Now, Ross Chastain, on his second lap, he goes to 10th. Ryan Blaney pulls off something even bigger, Alex Hayden.
Ryan Blaney goes to the top of the leaderboard. Ryan Blaney with a great lap as Todd was kind of describing his way around this race course. What a lap for Blaney. He knocks off Shane Van Gisbergen, puts the Ford Mustang Dark Horse at the top. Kurt mentioned Ross Chastain's second lap goes from 32nd up to the 10th position, and we're halfway through the time limit allowed for the Group 2 drivers. They continue on the track as we step away for just a short moment. From Watkins Glen International, this is the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
You've never been one to idly watch someone else do something for you. There's pride in self-reliance.
Back here at Watkins Glen, Group 2 drivers still getting qualifying laps in. Ryan Blaney's gone to the top of the leaderboard. Shane Van Gisbergen currently second. Chase Briscoe, Kurt, puts in a great lap.
He does. On his second lap, he just a tad under 72 seconds, so he did manage to get into that territory. A minute 11.997 seconds. Third fastest, 122.505 miles per hour. For now, it lines him up right behind Shane Van Gisbergen and the leader, Ryan Blaney.
Ross Chastain has gone to the number 4 spot in qualifying. Kyle Busch continues to sit at position number 5. Steve Post, we're in the middle of Group 2 qualifying with 8 minutes left. One of the drivers got some laps in by the name of Brad Keselowski. He then brought the car to pit lane, and then what did he do?
He got out of the car, he marched down pit road to Carson Hocevar's pit, and had some words. Now, I don't know if it was blocking a lap or what it was. I just came back and I asked the crew, I said, who did Brad go down and talk to? One of the crew guys literally got right in my face and says, who do you think he went and talked to? It's the same guy they talk to every week. So anxiety in qualifying here at Watkins Glen. Now, Brad has climbed back aboard the race car, and he's going to take that energy and aggression out on a lap here at Watkins Glen. They're going to try to get another lap in before this one is over. But, yes, Brad not happy with Carson Hocevar.
Yeah, get in line. I think there's a whole bunch of people. Even though Carson continues to maintain he doesn't care what anybody else thinks, when you make everybody mad, it's going to make life miserable for you the further you go in your career. And when you continue to be brazen about it, the worse it's going to get. But Carson Hocevar sticking to his guns, whether you're all for that or against it, there may be some tough lessons in his future. As Brad Keselowski wants to go back out on the racetrack. Chase Briscoe soldier on. He's still on the track. He's run 3 qualifying laps. His best time's good enough for 3rd.
Talked about Brad Keselowski. He went out and ran just 2 laps, checked in 16th quickest. You mentioned Carson Hocevar. He ran 5 laps, but the second lap was his fastest, good enough to put him in the 8th position at this time.
It looks like John Hunter Nemechek is going to pull back out on the race course and go try to further his opportunity to not only get a better starting spot, but a better opportunity, Todd Gordon, to pick which pit box you go into for tomorrow's Go Bowling at the Glen. Your thoughts on the pit lane here at Watkins Glen?
It's a battle for you, a mental battle of where you want to be. When you think about this racetrack and where it is, pit stops happen backwards here. So the pit crews have to service the left side of the car and then come to the right. So it's out of sequence for everybody. If you think about pit road, the pit stalls that are like 38, 9, 40, back through there, that's behind the opening back into the garage area. The concrete slopes back into the wall. Tires don't get away from you. They're fairly flat. As you come to the middle of pit road, forward of that, it's a flat area. It starts to be kind of level and coming outward. And really, when you get to pit stall 13 and forward, they're downhill. Your driver's actually going to have to hold on the brake because they're a downhill pit stall, and they're sloped a little bit away. Tires can get away from you down there. I like being down there because you've got more time to adjust and get to pieces, but it's a little more challenging pit stall. So where you pick, it's going to be where your preference is and what you qualify with as we go forward. One of the guys that we were really impressed with, Ross Chastain, 3 laps. He's sitting there P4 right now. Steve Post?
Yeah, Ross Chastain, 4th fastest now on the board down here. Just kind of chatting. And I love his crew guys come over, reminiscing, looking at pictures and everything here. Ross, let's reminisce about that qualifying session. Lap 132nd, then 10th, then 3rd. I think you're 4th now. How did you get up to 3rd? Or how did you get up to 3rd or 4th? How did you get that race car that fast?
Yeah, postman, I'm learning from my teammates, so it was really nice today to have all 3 Trackhouse team cars, my teammates in the first group. I got to watch them, then go practice. Then I was digesting my practice. They qualified. We looked through all their data. It laid out really nicely for the one team this weekend. And that goes back to a good finish last week of 11th and putting us in the second group here. So there was times last week at Iowa where I wanted 10th so bad and I almost crashed, and I was like, nope, I'm going to take 11th, and it pays off a week later. So looking at SVG, looking at Shane's stuff, definitely bummed he didn't get the pole, and I think we had all the makings of putting our number 1 Busch Light Chevy on the pole, but still, for a kid that grew up asphalt short track racing, turning left on the track growing up, turning left at the farm, turning right this fast, and being within about a 10th of my teammate, I'll take it.
Ross, this team has been so good racing on Sundays. Admittedly, you guys have struggled on Saturdays. How important is it to get a top 5, top 6, top 7 qualifying run here today at Watkins Glen?
Oh, it's incredible. It's everything. We train all week. We prep for this Saturday, and we know Sunday's coming, and we have that. But just to go fast on these laps and even just doing something as simple as running 3 laps, like you said, slow to start, and I had to work up to it to get the speed out of the car. So luckily this Goodyear Eagle tire doesn't just fall off right away, so that let me build into it on lap 3.
Congratulations on a solid day.
Thanks, Postman.
Ross Chastain, going to be interesting to see this team not starting deep in the pack, what they can do here tomorrow afternoon.
All right, thank you, Steve. We talked about Chase Briscoe, how he went out a few laps ago and turned in a speed over 122 miles an hour, good enough for 3rd quick. On the timing and scoring monitor, a driver's last name will light up in purple when the driver's on his warm-up lap. Chase Briscoe, his name was in purple for the longest time. Say it, I thought, well, timing and scoring, something's wrong with the monitor. There wasn't anything wrong with the monitor.
No, his fastest lap was his 3rd lap on the track, and that's good enough for 3rd fastest in the entire running order. However, Todd, 3 consecutive laps after that, his lap times were 1 minute and 40 seconds and change. why would he be out there just kind of puttering around for 3 consecutive laps?
Well, it can cool the tires down, and it can cool the brakes down. You've got airflow through things. We don't tape these things up solid like we used to with the Gen 6 car where you'll overheat the motor. You've still got a restrictor plate on the back, so there's not as much. There's an opportunity to cool tires, to cool brakes, to kind of let everything get back and just use that slow pace to do that and come back, and he's on a hard charge right now. Chris Willner, you can add to that?
Yeah, Todd, just to your point as well, James Small just said turn every fan on that you can. Let's get these tires, let's get these brakes as cool as possible. And again, the opt to not come down pit road because you're going to run out of time if you come down pit road, stop in your box, and then have to come back all the way around on pit speed. So he's creeping around. He's going to get back on the hammer just in time to hit that alternate start-finish line and give it one more go. But we'll see what a heat cycle does on these tires without coming to a stop. We'll see if Chase was able to get them cooled down enough.
Just 90 seconds to go in qualifying. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification on the Motor Racing Network. Seconds from concluding for the Go Bowling at the Glen for the NASCAR Cup Series. Motor Racing Network here to bring you live coverage. I'm Kurt Becker, Alex Hayden, and Todd Gordon stand to my left. Our pit coverage from Steve Post and Chris Willner. Ryan Blaney still atop the leaderboard. Again, his speed 122.568 miles per hour. If anybody's going to knock him off that pedestal, they've got 50 seconds left to do it.
And worn out tires. So realistically, I don't see that happening unless somebody pulls a rabbit out of the hat. Ryan Blaney went back out on the track and ran a very slow lap, much like Chase Briscoe has been doing. And Blaney's brought the car back. And that highlighter yellow Richmond Water Heaters Menards Ford Mustang Dark Horse, Blaney's gotten out of the race car and hopped across the wall now just to look at timing and scoring to make sure.
Yeah, make sure. Okay, go. Let's just review Ryan Blaney's most recent qualifying results at Watkins Glen in the last 3 years. 26th, 23rd, 30th. Today, number 1.
Yeah, so far. But as we get to this point, we're about to see the red and blacks out there. We'll see who else is on the racetrack that might make a run at it. But a really good effort by Jonathan Hassler and Ryan Blaney putting things together. You know, they've got an IndyCar program in-house that does a lot of this left and right. They've got a guy that used to work and race pretty hard against Shane Van Gisbergen that drives one of those Indy cars, Scott McLaughlin. I know he's friends with these guys. I don't know if they're picking up any pieces off of it, but doing a really good job making speed out of this program. Jonathan Hassler just gave him a great race car, and Ryan Blaney got it all out of it.
Red and black flags are in the air. Out of the left hand of chief starter this weekend, Brett Dalton on top of the flag stand. We've got 2 cars still on the racetrack. Christopher Bell, who's just brought his car in. Bell would be 9th fastest overall. Austin Dillon, the final driver on the racetrack that has a shot at pole position. However, looking at timing and scoring, his best lap so far is good enough for 26th. Here he comes through turn number 5, the final driver to take a shot at Ryan Blaney for the pole. Blaney patiently awaits. He watches timing and scoring, does Blaney, as he's got the brown locks underneath the black Menards Richmond Water Heater hat, watching what Austin Dillon does. Not good enough, and Ryan Blaney has won the pole for the Go Bowling at the Glen. We'll hear from the pole winner in just a moment. From Watkins Glen International, this is the Motor Racing Network.
Every time the siren sounds or lights flash, someone's life is on the line.
Qualifying is over for the Go Bowling at the Glen. Ryan Blaney's won pole position. Shane Van Gisbergen will start second. Chase Briscoe will start third, and Ross Chastain starts fourth. Kyle Busch will start fifth. Michael McDowell goes sixth. Alex Bowman will start seventh. Starting eighth will be Carson Hocevar. Starting in the ninth spot will be Christopher Bell, and William Byron qualified 10th.
Joey Logano shows in 11th with Chris Buescher 12th. Austin Cindric qualifying in 13th. Then Ty Gibbs 14th. Bubba Wallace 15th. Brad Keselowski 16th. Ryan Preece 17th. A.J. Allmendinger 18th. Daniel Suarez checks in 19th. And Chase Elliott 20th.
Tyler Reddick will start 21st. Denny Hamlin 22nd. Justin Haley, the fastest car in practice, starts 23rd. Josh Berry 24th. Connor Zilic 25th. The rest of the starters, you can go to mrn.com to find out the rest of the starting lineup for the Go Bowling at the Glen as we check in with our pole winner, Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney down here with Jonathan Hassler's crew chief, 12th career pole. And Ryan, I'll tell you, it's a pole position, your 12th career pole. What does it mean for you, though, to get it here on a road course at Watkins Glen? Kind of dramatic fashion as you did here today.
Yeah, just a cool day. Having decent speed in practice, and then being able to throw a lap together, and like I said, I'm a pretty average road racer, but I work really hard at trying to be better, and my team and I try to figure out ways of how can we improve, and from the car and to the driver. So it's cool when you work really hard at trying to get better at something, and it pays off in little dividends. It's just one lap today, and we got 90 tomorrow to try to stay up there, but try to tackle one task at a time and see what we can do tomorrow. But really proud effort of the whole 12 group, and looking forward to starting up front tomorrow.
We spent a lot of time on our broadcast talking about the inner loop and specifically how SVG went through the interview. Todd Gordon, your former crew chief, was watching it live, and he lit right up and said Blaney got through the inner loop well. How did you feel about that portion of the course?
Yeah, I felt pretty decent. It's always like a risk-reward thing getting in there, and how much do you want to push and commit. And honestly, I think where I beat the 88 was more up the hill, through the S's. I had a really good turn 2 and turn 3, and he got a lot of it back in the bus stop, just kind of out-braking me, but I was still pretty good. And then I was able to get him a little bit through the carousel, and that allowed me to kind of propel forward. So, I felt good about the lap. I honestly thought I could have got a couple more tenths, and it's just hard to put it together, for a whole lap. And, take them where we can get them.
Milestone, 150th Cup pole for Team Penske. It's got to be good to check another one off for Roger and the team on that one.
Mamba said it to me earlier in the TV interview, and that's a huge accomplishment for everybody at Team Penske that's been on the Cup side for a long time, and all the commitment that they have to the sports. And it's cool to be part of it like that. So just try to keep adding achievements for RP, and it's happy we can add another one today.
Keep adding achievements. That is Ryan Blaney, wins the pole position here today at Watkins Glen.
He will lead the field to the green flag tomorrow in the Go Bowling at the Glen. Don't forget, Motor Racing Network airtime 1 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. NASCAR Live Race Day will be with you to get the table set for a big day of NASCAR Cup Series racing. We're not done here at the Glen today. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the NASCAR Xfinity Series Mission 200 at the Glen. We'll have that for you at 2:30 Eastern Time. Big thanks to Steve Post and Chris Wilner on the pit lane. For Todd Gordon and Kurt Becker, I'm Alex Hayden. We congratulate Ryan Blaney, the winner of the pole position for the Go Bowling at the Glen.